Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Geeks and Noobs podcast, our quarter centennial episode, episode 25. Boy, do we have a doozy for you. I am, of course, SuperBeard Vince Hoover. Welcome to me, as always, my co-host, Kel McCosplay. Kel McBride, how are you doing today, sir?
Doing great, Vince. How are you?
Wish I could say great.
Yeah.
The news has not been fantastic. However, for the breaking news segment to start the podcast, we have great news. After the really crappy stuff we have to talk about, we have another great thing we're going to tease. Kel got to go to an amazing convention in Tennessee this past weekend. I celebrated my 40th birthday by getting comics and sushi and Starbucks. So all around great weekend, good times. So we're going to not talk about the convention just yet because we want to bring it back around.
We're going to bring you the bad news first and then hit you with the good news.
I'm going to equate it to anybody who's played WWE 2K22.
Yeah.
Played my GM, where you book it with really high first match, you let it all in the middle, and then you come back up at the end. That's what we're going to do. Right. Because today's topic, before we get into breaking news, is the WB Discovery fiasco. And I don't even think fiasco is close enough of a word to get correct. But
shit show, more like it.
Yeah, shit show. That's probably the best way to that. I think that might even be light.
It's true. It's true.
I just don't know what it is. It doesn't make any sense.
No.
And some other stuff has happened. Literally, I sent it to him right before we got on this call. Some extra stuff to talk about. It's just gotten worse and worse, and it's only getting worse. Just not looking good. But on the breaking news side of things, on a very positive note, we got two MCU leaks just about back to back within minutes of each other. One was on Good Morning America. One was on TikTok, of all places. And the TikTok one blows my mind. But we'll start with the Good Morning American one. Patton Oswalt was on there, and he mentioned, and apparently he thought it had already been announced, and it has not been announced. It was not announced at SDCC. It's probably going to be announced at D23, especially now. But there is an Eternal sequel coming, and Chloe Zhao will be back. Now, for all you misogynistic, toxic, asshole fanboys out there who do not think this is good news, that to me makes it even better news.
Yeah.
I love the Eternals movie.
It was really well done, I thought.
The only thing I didn't like was how the villain was used.
Yes.
But Marvel has had that's been a blight of all the MCU, that 9 times out of 10 they don't use a villain properly, but these films are still carried by their heroes. I love the Eternals movie. Thought it was well done. I thought the twist at the end was great. A lot of surprises come out of it. I'm very happy to see another one coming.
Yeah, and it was probably one of the most beautiful shots.
Yeah, absolutely. Cinematically. Cinematically, yes. Just
gorgeous shots of the landscapes and the backgrounds. It was phenomenal.
Admittedly, the Cersei Icarus sex scene was not needed. And I never thought I'd say that, considering it's Richard Madden and Gemma Chan, but yeah, that wasn't needed, but it was a milestone. For Marvel, so I'll give them that. It movies so well. I think Angelina Jolie stole the show. It was just beyond incredible in it. Like I said, the only thing is I think the deviants were wasted.
Yeah.
And maybe not so much the deviants, but their leader, Crow.
Yeah.
He was wasted.
Really, I mean, he could have been a way more interesting character than just to be thrown away. But it is what it is. We got what we got.
But like I said, like that, and I think it was just mainly because the deviants were meant to be more of a diversionary villain antagonist versus the actual antagonist, who ended up being Icarus. Which again, I like that twist, even though I do like Icarus a lot. I actually love the Eternals comics. I've been a fan of those since the 80s. I love what Jack Kirby did with them. I love the run that the Neil Gaiman run is phenomenal. But anything Neil Gaiman touches is phenomenal when it comes to writing.
No
Um,
lies.
so, but Patton Oswalt kind of let it slip because he does play Pip the troll,
Yeah.
and he mistakenly thought it had already been announced, so that got announced. But then over on TikTok,
Yeah. Move over, Tom Holland. We got a new
yeah,
spoiler later in town.
so we got this young TikToker who I believe might be the daughter of the showrunner from Moon Knight. But I can't confirm I can't confirm that just yet. But she goes, "Hey, everybody wants to know, is there going to be a Moon Knight season 2?" He puts the camera on him, and he says, "Oh, Moon Knight." And then she pans a little bit further, and it's Oscar Isaac, and he goes, "Why do you think we're in Cairo?"
So
Like, holy shit! Now, does this confirm it? No.
no, it doesn't confirm
They
a
could have
dang
just been.
thing.
They obviously became friends. They could have just been in Cairo on vacation, but at the same time, are they more than likely scouting location? Is like,
Yeah.
yeah, it felt like everybody on that little boat was like crew. It didn't feel like family. And why would you just like
Why would you troll us like that?
Oscar Isaac's smart enough to know that the girl's camera, obviously, it's going to go on social media.
Oh yeah.
Like he knows that.
Yeah.
So like, I don't think he would be that big of a troll. I mean, I wouldn't doubt he'd troll us a little bit, but not like that.
Yeah,
So
not that much. I mean,
we, it feels like we are definitely getting that season 2,
and plus,
which
as we discussed last week, there are a lot of open spots for stuff in the 2024 to 2025 year for the Marvel calendar. So,
yeah, the thing is, if you look at specifically the Phase 6,
yeah.
where there's only 3 films,
Mm-hmm.
there's still release dates.
There's a lot of spots.
There's still release dates all over that thing. And even on the Phase 5, I think there was 1 or 2 blank spots on that one. I had to go back and check.
I think so as well.
And a Moon Knight season 2.
Just
And if that happens, that to me feels like he becomes a more cemented part of the MCU.
yes.
I
Instead of
think with a
just like a
season 2,
one
that will
shot.
build to him more of a maybe in the Midnight Suns, which, although not announced, that was one of the trademark things. Now, real quickly on the trademark situation. Glad my mind went there.
Good.
Tirades and yeah, tangents. That's the word I was looking for. On the trademark situation, Marvel isn't the only one. Many studios will do this, especially studios with huge IPs, similar as Marvel and DC and everything else. Warner Brothers has done this for years. Uh, Universal does it all the time. You trademark a bunch of things that you want to do, but may not necessarily be on your slate unless you can make them work. So
Yeah.
yes, Midnight Suns and so many other really cool titles were on that list of trademarks, but they lock those in so that other people don't do it out of spite and try to get money.
Yeah.
So even if it was proven that that leak had some truth to it, because we got Avengers King Dynasty, Avengers Secret Wars, so many other titles that were on that list, it doesn't mean they're all coming out.
Right.
We have to keep that in mind. But with the Moon Knight season 2, with Blade, with the Black Knight story being a Black Knight origin story being on that list of trademarks, we know that Kit Harington is coming back as the Black Knight, and there were some other things on there as well. There's a lot coming up that just feels like there's so much more that we don't even know.
Yeah.
And the fact we're getting Eternals 2, Moon Knight season 2, top of everything else we got, and then we got D23 coming up. I want to say September 9th, if I remember correctly. Uh, D23 is going to blow our mind.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I can't wait.
Because if they allowed that much to come out at San Diego Comic-Con, just imagine what they do with their own thing. The thing they said they wanted to keep the really good stuff there for. Like, just imagine. I think in the next couple months, We're going to be hearing a couple little rumors here and there, maybe a leak or two, and then D23 is just going to blow our minds.
Yeah. September 9th.
What day of the week? Does it say what day of the week that is?
Friday and Saturday.
Damn. Okay. We might have to live stream that.
Yeah.
We might have to live stream that. Because I wanted to live stream San Diego Comic-Con, but they weren't really showing it. But D23 will be all online.
Yeah.
So we should be able to watch along with that. And yeah, we might be live streaming that. Now, with D23 being 2 days, we have to find out what day Marvel is on. Because obviously D23 is not just Marvel, it's Star Wars, it's Pixar, it's all the Disney IPs, which is insane amount. It's the Fox properties like Predator and Alien. I believe that like one of the big things that will be talked about is the Alien series. And with Prey getting such rave reviews, it sat at 100% on Rotten Tomatoes for a good amount of time after the premiere.
Yeah.
So I'm really looking forward to that. Like I don't have a Hulu account, but I'm about to get one because Prey just sounds amazing and it takes it right back to its roots. So
exactly, it's something that the Predator series has missed out for a long time.
That was the biggest headache about the movie The Predator that came out recently, the last one.
Yeah.
Because it was directed by Shane Black, who was actually in the first Predator movie.
Oh, was he?
Shane Black actually is. He's the smallest of the commandos.
Okay.
The kind of geeky, dorky one. That's Shane Black.
Okay.
And he wrote the Lethal Weapon movies, or at least the first 3. Like, he has great talent for these kind of things. And for that film to go the way it did, which I do believe a lot of that was studio interference, but
more than likely.
This, you know how Fox was, they micromanaged the shit out of everything.
Oh, yeah.
Which, somewhat of a segue, that's what WB does. Yeah, so that I feel like Fox was the reason that movie failed as miserably as it did. But yeah, there was so much potential there. So much potential. But to hear that Prey gets right back to its roots and takes it back to like a more origin story, not what we got in Alien vs. Predator or Alien vs. Predator Requiem.
Oh God, those movies are trash.
Requiem to me, if you just go at it as like an 80s slasher film where the plot does not matter at all, it's actually pretty good. Because a lot of characters who are main characters die. Like, it's very like, you don't know who's going to live. The people who do live feel just random. It doesn't feel like, you know, in that aspect, you know, it's not a movie I put on. If it is on, I'll watch it. It's not a movie I'm looking to go out of my way to put on, but it is just a fun, mindless. It's a mindless movie. If I'm gonna play solitaire on my phone while watching it, it's fine.
Yeah.
Alien vs. Predator just feels weird.
It really did. I mean, I remember when I first watched it when it came out.
Jaxbo89, thank you for the follow, and you got a dancing penguin.
Woo! But yeah, when the first AVP come out, I watched it and I was like, what was the main character's name again? Because I mean, she was Ripley Light. That's what I called
she
her.
was Ripley Light, and the thing I took away from it was we had, and I his name suddenly escapes me. He played the android in the first Alien film.
Oh, dang it.
Know who I'm talking about?
Yes, I do. Yes.
But then he also
Win the mission.
Yes. Then he played Wayland.
Yeah, he played the original Wayland. Yeah.
Oh, thank you very much. Jaxbo said he saw my post on Panda's Discord, so he thought he'd stop by and show some support. Thank you so much, Jax. I appreciate that very much. We're going to be talking here in a second about the DC debacle at Warner Brothers. If you want to stick around for that fun conversation.
Oh, yeah.
That's going to be a good time. But we're currently talking about Alien vs. Predator. And, like, it kind of made sense to cast him because then you can explain why the what were they called? Not replicants. That's Blade Runner.
Yeah.
Nerd them is just gone. Why does my brain not work today? Maybe because I'm so frustrated with Warner Brothers. But
It's
not a life model decoy. That's Marvel. Not a
when they
synthezoid.
change?
Are they
What
just called synths? Was it short for synthetics?
it might have been, but I'm
I
almost
remember,
thinking
like,
it was
she said
just
it
called
almost
an
like,
android.
I remember the word she used in Aliens, the sequel, was almost like a
Yeah.
slur.
Yeah.
Um,
Oh, it's been so long, and I
and
need to
he is
go back.
not the, and I actually am mistaken.
Yeah,
He
he
is
didn't
not the,
play the
he
first
played
one.
it,
In the
he
first
was in the
one, he
second
played
one.
the second one. Yeah, in Aliens.
The first one was played by, fuck it, whatever,
Yeah,
somebody else. He
been in
played,
he's been in a ton of movies.
he was the one that redeemed the synths for her.
Yes.
He was actually a good guy.
Yeah, because they made a note, or they had Bishop had a line in the second film. Is like, oh yeah, the 289 series were always a little twitchy or something
Yeah,
like that.
Bishop was his character name.
Yeah,
Um,
but I cannot
but
remember
so it
his name.
kind of felt like they were kind of retconning to where Wayland had designed it, but then you have um, Prometheus, where you have Guy Pearce as Wayland. It just there's a lot. Yeah, it's just, I don't know. I don't know. That whole franchise kind of just went wackadoo,
Yeah,
and I feel bad for Ridley Scott and James Cameron who tried so hard to make it something good. And there was so much potential with Prometheus and with whatever the sequel was called. Because Michael Fassbender was phenomenal in those films.
Lance Henderson's
Thank you.
was the name of Bishop.
He's one of only two people to be killed by a predator, an alien, and a Terminator. The other one is Bill Paxton.
Bill Paxton.
So
Yeah, what was he killed by a Terminator?
yeah,
That's right. He was in the first Terminator movie. Yes,
one of the cops,
yes, in the house where he's talking about.
and he was the one like who did the most work to save Sarah Connor.
Yes,
This could be a whole other podcast. Jesus Christ,
it really could be.
there's so much there. Love those things. We are 20 minutes in. Let's go ahead and get to the
Yeah.
nitty gritty of today's episode.
Back to what we're
Because I seriously, I could just talk for days on this shit.
yeah.
Maybe we will. There's going to come a time where we don't have Marvel and DC stuff to talk about. We'll have to get into other geekdoms. So, I do want to do a Star Trek episode. I absolutely love Star Trek. We'll do Star Wars stuff and we'll do other stuff because the Andor trailer came out. I'm actually avoiding all of that stuff now because they tend to like hurt it.
Yeah.
So I've been trying to like avoid that stuff, but anyways. So, WB was bought by Discovery. And this merger's been in the works for a while, very similar to how the Fox Disney one took a while. Obviously, there's a lot of legal loopholes and stuff they got to jump through to prove it's not a monopoly kind of thing and get through all that bureaucratic red tape. So that deal happens. Almost immediately after that deal happens, we get the rumor started that HBO Max might be shut down and folded into Discovery Plus as just a tab. But that was an unsubstantiated rumor at the time. Then the big news hit. Started with the New York Post. Granted, New York Post is not exactly the most trustworthy rag out there. News rag for those who don't understand, because I'm old. But the news comes out that Batgirl is indefinitely shelved.
Yeah.
Now, as the story picks up, there was a lot of like race and sexism storylines put into these articles, and they kind of ignored the main point of the article, the first one. They went with internet insiders versus the actual source from the studio that the New York Post had.
Yeah.
But before I get into that reason, it was then announced that a bunch of other like scripted series for HBO Max were also canceled. A lot of changes were going to come out, and it felt like that Batgirl was just more proof that the DCEU is dead. Now, here's the thing. Before we get into the shit show that is WB Discovery, there is a point that needs to be made about the Batgirl film in and of itself. There was the notion, Discovery had made the comment, they don't want movies made strictly for streaming. All their movies, especially their franchise films, their big IPs like DC, they want them to be mega theatrical blockbuster events. That is their goal, that is their plan, that is the end all be all. So making movies strictly for HBO Max is no longer a thing. That was Nick's.
It's really a shame.
Right then. Yes and no. Because there's also a side of that when you're making a movie strictly for streaming, besides Netflix, because Netflix will dump $1 billion into, like, they're so far in the hole they don't give a shit.
Oh
So
yeah.
they tried, and Netflix also tries to portray themselves as basically a cinematic experience versus just another streaming service. Every other even Disney Plus, a lot of the stuff that ends up streaming only, you can tell it is not at the same level as a theatrical cinematic release. Same with HBO Max.
Yeah.
There is this kind of thing like, oh, well, we're making this for streaming, so we can cut corners here, or we can, we're not going to get the same budget, so we don't have to try as hard. And please don't take that as an attack on the artist. Every artist tries extremely hard in the film industry.
Yeah.
But there is still a mindset of, well, this is not a theatrical release, so we can do it this way. We can cheat the, this and that. More of a production thing. It's from the studio standpoint, not the artist, not the people behind the scenes. Directly behind the scenes. I'm talking the figurehead styles. Here's the thing about Batgirl, though. It had several test screenings. And it said that it was so bad that it was irredeemable. Which feels weird to say because you had Michael Keaton as Batman. You had the up-and-coming Leslie Grace, who's amazing. And you had Brendan fucking Fraser as Firefly.
I would love to see a Brendan Fraser Firefly. Oh my god.
Where did they go wrong that this movie was so bad? Because, and this is the point I'm going to try to make. I know I'm rambling, but Blue Beetle hasn't been canceled yet.
Mm-hmm.
We all saw the leaked shots of his suit. It looks phenomenal.
Gorgeous. Absolutely gorgeous.
But that production was not shut down. That production was not halted. And the budget for Batgirl ended up being $90 million. That is a big budget. That is a big cinema budget. It's a big film budget. There are plenty of movies out there, even action movies that get a smaller budget and do great.
Yeah.
I mean, the John Wick films don't even have that anywhere near that budget. I mean,
phenomenal.
they might now, but
but the first one, no.
But Jax asked, "What's up with the new Flash movies?" I've been out of the loop for a minute. I'm gonna get to the Flash in just a minute.
Yeah,
because this is also part of the problem with WB. So WB has been on a what's it called? When you're backpedaling and you're trying to damage control. They have been on damage control for quite a time. The Amber Heard Johnny Depp trial and the fact that people want to boycott the Aquaman 2. So much so that they convinced Ben Affleck to come back as Batman in that movie.
Yeah.
They are currently doing reshoots and adding Ben Affleck to this film. And I believe as Bruce Wayne. I don't believe he's suiting up as Batman. Everything I saw was him in a suit. A very nice suit. A 3-piece suit. So I think it'll be as Bruce Wayne. It might even just be like a post cameo scene to maybe tie into the Flash, which for some reason is still on the release schedule. Future says, given what's happening with Batgirl, do you think Discovery's going to cherry pick the project still slated or eventually cancel everything like Netflix did with their Marvel shows? Well, that was kind of the point I was making with the Blue Beetle.
Yeah.
That film is not on the chopping block. Now, Discovery has already cut a bunch of stuff, a bunch of HBO Max originals.
Yeah.
They cut like a dozen. But Blue Beetle was not on that list. Blue Beetle is filming. It's almost done. So are they waiting for it to test to see how well it does and then maybe put it out in the theater? Can they make it a mega popcorn film? Can they do something with it to make it like that? That's what I think they're waiting on. I don't think that Batgirl was cut simply because they're cutting DC projects. I don't think Batgirl was cut simply because it is a female-led story. Cut because, as the test audience said, it was irredeemable. Think back to Chaos Walking with Tom Holland and Daisy Ridley. That movie was so bad it was shelved for years and then 100% reshot.
Yeah,
new script reshot.
Yeah, because that was before Daisy Fuentes got the role as Rey in Star Wars, correct?
Yeah, it was also before Tom Holland was Spider-Man.
Yeah,
and he looked way different in the original than he did by the time they actually showed it. So that is happening. However, further news about the Batman movie was that they would shelve it and then use it as a tax write-off.
Yeah.
Which legally means that film can never see the light of day. So we wouldn't get a Chaos Walking situation where they reshoot it. It would have to be a whole new script, whole new production team, whole nine. Now, Leslie Grace could be recast as Batgirl, but it would not be the same movie at all. They'd have to do a completely different script, a completely different story, possibly a different villain the whole night.
Yeah.
So I have my fingers crossed for Blue Beetle. However, what did we learn today, Cal? That video I sent you.
Oh, that apparently Warner Bros. Discovery is now going to be like micromanaging and like splitting everything down the middle for men and women.
I think
and it's
I think their intention was that right now Discovery Plus is more geared towards women and HBO Max is more geared towards men.
Yeah.
I think that was their intention, and they're going to try to bring it together. But this comes off as some incredibly sexist shit.
Oh now, yeah, very, very.
Oh my god! So they've had their, basically they're like their finance, investors call, and they decided to put this. Yeah, I gotta take back what I just said because I just read the title of the card. They have their PowerPoint, and the card is called Unique and Complementary. So they're not viewing this as a bad thing. They're viewing this as, oh, they're each unique in their own way, and we can complement each other. HBO Max is male skewed, scripted, lean in, appointment viewing, and home of the fandoms. While Discovery Plus is female skew, unscripted, lean back, comfort viewing, home of genre dumbs. Whatever the fuck that means.
Yeah,
there's a new term. That term. By the way, I have a degree in film production and have been in the business off and on for over 20 years. Never heard that fucking term in my life.
Nope.
So I thought that this was them saying that this is where they are now, and let's merge them together so it's not a male versus female thing. However, by looking down at this and reading the title of the card, Unique and Complementary, no, they view this as a good thing and how they're going to continue to do things. What blue hell are they doing? I can't. I can't. Kel, I need a minute. Take over.
I understand. Yeah. I was like, the headline of the video that you sent me to before the show started is HBO Max is from Mars, Discovery Plus is from Venus. Which, if you don't understand that reference, we're old. We know.
Yeah, one of the most sexist books in retrospect, by the way.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
It was basically an 80s version of women should have an apron and be barefoot in the kitchen raising kids, while men are in big business and doing their jobs and bringing home all the money.
Yeah,
that's what that is. That's what that whole book is. It is about dividing the sexes. Go on.
But yeah, they're planning on just like splitting everything down the middle. And Let me get to the little bit. You already talked on this stuff, but yeah, that's the one. Here we go. We got
Discovery Plus has a 90-day fiance universe.
yes, that I was just
I
about to
am
get
not fucking lying when I say that. On their slate of their universes, they
yeah, on
did
their
have DC, they had Harry Potter, and slap fucking in between them was the 90-day fiance universe. What
yes,
the actual fuck?
yeah. They have it to where they have their brands, which is HBO, Discovery, CNN, HGTV, Cartoon Network, DC, and Looney Tunes. Okay, that's fine. I can understand that. But then we get to the franchises part. And, you know, first one listed is Batman, Wonder Woman, Superman. Then we have Shark Week, Game of Thrones, and 90 Day Fiance universe. I don't even know how long that show's been out. I've never watched an episode, and thank God my wife doesn't watch that either. And then lastly, the Harry Potter franchise.
Look, if you ever needed proof that reality TV is as far from real as you can get, the fact that they
There
have
you
a
go.
90-day fiance universe, but the
And then this was the kicker for me. You have iconic series and characters. You have friends. Okay, I can kind of understand that. But then Fixer Upper, I don't even know what that show is.
Fixer
I'm
Upper,
assuming
I do. That's
it's
Chip and Joanne Gaines, who basically are the reason Discovery Plus even exists,
yeah.
because they put all of their Magnolia brand into it. It was supposed to be a Magnolia channel, and Discovery talked them into turning it into a streaming service. It became
Okay.
Discovery Plus.
Okay. And then Big Bang Theory, Property Brothers,
Yeah. What the?
Diner is that Diners, Drive-ins, and Dives? I
Yep.
see,
Guy Fieri.
and
Getty.
Sex in the
Whatever.
City. How are I can't even describe the Furies that they have the audacity to put those things under iconic series and characters.
First off, Diner Drives and Dives is actually much closer to a reality show than any actual reality show.
That I believe because you
He
know I
actually
used to
goes
love
to these
watching that
he
show.
just goes to these diners. Now, is Guy Fieri a bit of a character?
In
That's
a
not even
way,
his
yeah.
real name. The frosted tips, the flaming shirt, it's all part
Yeah.
of it's like Larry the Cable Guy.
Yeah,
A
yeah.
bit. Like Andrew Dice Clay, but Andrew Dice Clay became Andrew Dice Clay in real life, and now he's a dick.
Yeah.
I just don't know what they're doing. And the video makes a point of mentioning that it is for profit. That's all they care about. Very obvious that's all they care about.
Yeah.
But it's like they're not even they're just not trying to. But at the same time, then you look at, you have these iconic characters and these DC characters.
Yeah.
We're already treading terrible water because of the Justice League debacle, the Snyderverse debacle, then Amber Heard debacle, and of course, Ezra Miller shit show. Like, not
Yeah.
even debacle. And the fact that, yes, he has been fired. He will never play the part again. He'll never make a single HBO movie again or WB movie again. He'll never be in anything like that. Great. But the producer of that film, who happens to be the wife of the director, came out just the other day after the Batgirl news and said, it's all good on the Flash movie front. In other words, they're still going to hit their March release date of next year. Even though Shazam and Aquaman 2, possibly even Black Adam, are all looking like they might get delayed.
Mm-hmm.
So we get this lackluster showing at San Diego Comic-Con, even though you started off with this The Rock in full costume coming out of the ground, lightning shooting out. Then all we get from them is Shazam trailer, Black Adam trailer. No mention of anything else except for Super Pets, which was coming out, just came out this past Friday.
Yeah.
Like, again, I can kind of understand why the Batgirl movie was canceled. According to the test screenings, it was irredeemable. And the fact that they didn't cancel Blue Beetle immediately, it's not just oh, this was meant for streaming, we're going to cancel it. It's that, oh, this movie was meant for streaming, but it's so bad we don't even want to put it on streaming and we want to focus on theatrical cuts, but there's no way this will make a theatrical cut. And they're also probably looking at Sony going, yeah, remember the Morbius fiasco? You remember all the hell we went through with the Snyderverse?
Yeah.
And the Snyderverse fans? We're not listening to you motherfuckers at all. So all the people out there trying to like release the Batgirl film hashtag, you might actually be hurting any chances of ever seeing it. They're in full contradictory mode. They're in full contrarian mode now. And I think Discovery's coming in full contrarian mode. But my God, what are they doing?
Yeah, I think things have just got so bad at Warner Brothers and Discovery that they don't even know what to do. They're so far in the ground, they have no idea how to dig themselves out.
Well, I think that WB put themselves in so much of a hole that during the sale, they did fire everybody.
Yeah.
Which we all thought, like at first we all thought, oh, this is it. Hope is back.
Yeah.
But I think that Discovery saw that shit show, saw everything they did, and then went, we're just going to do the opposite of what they did. But that's not the problem. You're just going from one end of the spectrum to the other.
Mm-hmm.
And you're not helping the situation. You're not understanding the problem. You just saw a problem. And you thought you erased the problem, but the problem's still there. So now you're just going to go do the opposite. But that's not under. I take it back to like the Ian Malcolm line from Jurassic Park. You were so preoccupied with whether or not you could, you didn't stop to think of whether you should.
Exactly.
Like, I don't get it. You have such a kind of character, and the thing is, like, some people have mentioned, well, what does this mean for Batman 2? What does this mean for Joker 2? Which, first off, Joker 2 doesn't need to happen.
No.
That film is a good standalone single film. A sequel is not needed. And the fact that you could keep it so ambiguous as to whether he was the actual Joker or just the inspiration for the Joker later on down the line, or the fact that it may not even happen at all. It was that kind of like American Psycho, was it all in his head kind of thing.
Yeah.
But now you're going to introduce Harley Quinn. You're going to basically establish that his Joker is the Joker. Way out of time. Way out of place.
Mm-hmm.
So that's something that was not needed. But the Batman sequel is definitely needed. But there's other things like, we all saw the trailer for Gotham Knights. And how god-awful that looked. Like, if anybody's seen the Resident Evil series on Netflix, I don't recommend it at all. But if you have, that's the video game equivalent of what Gotham Knights is going to do to the Bat family.
Yeah.
Just awful. Now, that being said, that hasn't been canceled yet. That has not screened well either, so I don't know what's going on. Like, I mean, I don't think if Batgirl had screened just somewhat better, it didn't have to screen perfectly. If it had just been somewhat better, and not to the point of being irredeemable, I think this entire discussion, I think it make it shelved for reshoots or retooling, and not this, hey, we're gonna shelve it and then we're gonna make it a tax write-off so it can never be released.
Right.
So on that front, hey, did this turn off? I gotta reach it.
It almost got it. Yeah.
Okay, it's still cooling. It's just the lights went off. Whatever. The fact that it was irredeemable says a lot. But like, I still had, I guess, an inkling of hope until I saw this video today and the stuff that's coming out of this call. The HBO Max is a male skew and Discovery Plus is females. Shut the.
Yeah. They it's like,
Like
my
women
wife,
don't like basically saying that women don't like anything that isn't an unscripted, laid back comfort viewing.
yeah.
That men want the appointment viewing, which by the way, I mean even like when it comes to reality shows, I believe women are very much about appointment viewing. Oh, Bad Girls Club is on tonight at this time. I can't go out. I gotta
Yeah.
watch. Like I,
Yeah. I mean, it's like my wife is nowhere near the nerd level that I am. And she knows that and she's fine with that. But she does enjoy sitting with me watching these Marvel Disney Plus series, watching these nerdy movies and everything like that. She loves it. In fact, we just had this conversation 3 days ago where we're watching uh Comic Book Man on Amazon Prime just because we're seeing Ming, which I got to meet at the Comic Con I went to, and he was a fantastic person. We'll talk more about that later. But she just turns around, looks at me, and says, "How would you feel if I wanted to do a cosplay for next year's con?" I'll be like, "I love you even more now." Are you kidding me? I mean,
Denise and
women
I,
are
Denise and
not
yeah, Denise is the
women.
same way. She's not super nerdy, but she loves to watch this stuff. She goes with me to movies,
Yes.
and she's even like, "Hey, maybe I could do a cosplay. It looks like fun, that kind of thing." It's
Mhm.
awesome.
But yeah,
WB, so
just for
a lot
these
of this
people
has
to
to
be
do,
so sexist to
yeah.
saying this is what men want, this is what women want, and there is no in between. You know what? Fuck
First
y'all.
off, yeah. First of all, we don't live in a binary world anymore. We
Exactly.
have understood there is a spectrum of sexual orientation and sexual genders and all of that. We've learned that. Where do non-binary people fit in here?
Oh, they don't. They're not part of it. They can't.
But granted, Discovery Plus is a lot of the stuff on there tends to lead a little bit more towards the, even though CNN's a part of it,
Yeah.
a lot of the other stuff tends to lean a little bit more towards the right. But I'm gonna leave that there. Um, the last thing I want to do is get political,
Yeah.
but they're making it really hard not to. But like this all kind of started WB with the sale is it's all predicated around the collapse of CW.
Yeah.
We now know that the Flash is ending with season 9 and a short season 9. Only going to be 13 episodes. Which by the way, Ezra Miller was cast officially the same day the second ever episode of the Flash TV series came out. And of course, The Rock was cast less than a month later as Black Adam.
Mm.
And WB has sat on him and done all this crap. But like, here's the like by canceling the Batgirl film, you're hurting this Flash movie that you're so intent on still releasing.
Mhm.
Because part of it was the Michael Keaton role, and you're building Michael Keaton as your DC Nick Fury, the elder Batman.
Yeah.
Now that you're bringing Ben Affleck is supposed to be killed off in the Flash film, his version of Batman is supposed to be killed off in the Flash movie, but now you're bringing him back for Aquaman 2. Like what in I and now Shazam is delayed, Aquaman 2 is delayed. I don't I know they said the Batgirl movie was irredeemable, but I think Warner Brothers at this point is irredeemable.
Yes. As a whole
I
company, yes.
almost feel like
Definitely agree.
besides Matt Reeves' Batman, which by the way, another thing to come out of everything, Matt Reeves will not direct any episodes of the Gotham spinoff for HBO Max. And I think part of that is because it's probably going to get canceled. Um, Besides Matt Reeves' Batman sequel, and I mean solely that movie, and then Shazam and Black Adam, which are about to come out, release them on their release dates, and then stop.
Yeah.
Don't put out Aquaman 2. Don't put out the Flash movie. Let Matt Reeves make the Batman 2 and then walk away for a while. I don't want to see that in my lifetime, but I think it's necessary at this point.
Yeah, because it's too far gone. I mean, it's like you're still trying to do CPR on something that's been dead for an hour.
Yeah, we got to get this taste out of our mouth, man. Like, we have to walk away. But they're not doing that. And it's like, to them, not an option. Oh, we got to compete with Marvel. No, you don't.
No, I mean,
oh, you don't.
You've been trying to for years and failing. And every step of the way.
Do you want to know one of the funniest takes I've seen on all of this?
What it
is?
Is
all those toxic fanboys that say that Disney ruined Marvel are now the same ones being like, WB should have sold to Marvel or sold to Disney and let Kevin Feige run it.
Yeah.
And I mean the exact same one. Like, my God, man. I mean, if it wasn't for the monopoly rule, I would love to see DC fall under the Disney banner.
Yeah, I mean,
like, especially since they're already doing mature stuff now on Disney Plus. Like, they could allow DC to be a little bit darker. Although that's not. By the way, I don't understand this thought process either. DC is not inherently darker than Marvel.
No.
And that's not a necessity. Like, I don't know what that. Whatever. That's a whole discussion on a whole new day.
Yeah.
But let's just get that point out there. It's not a necessity in the slightest. But if they wanted to keep it more dark and gritty, and keep them separate. And then guess what? Have them under the same banner, we can get an amalgamation universe. We can get a crossover. That would be amazing. But it'll never happen. Especially since a lot of people are like, oh, Discovery should just sell it. Discovery can't.
Yeah.
Legally, they cannot, for years, sell it. They just bought it.
Yeah.
This is what I mean by we need to wait. Because Discovery just bought it. We're going to have to go through the Discovery version of WB experiment for a few years before anything can happen. So just the products that are done. I want to see the Blue Beetle movie. It looks so good.
It does.
I'm just so worried that they're just going to be like, nah. So like, okay. Finish. Yeah, I'd lose my goddamn mind if we got an amalgam content. Yeah, I would too.
Yep.
Look, finish whatever you're in production on. Put it out. And then walk away.
Yeah, don't release any DC related content for a minimum 8 years.
I was going to give them 5, but that was based on after everything was done and released. And from that moment, 5. So yeah, I'm right around that 8-year mark.
Yeah.
8 years from right now.
That way you have time to get people sitting in a room, get some ideas flowing. Do that for 5 to 8 years. And
reach out to Kevin Feige. Because here's the thing, Sony kinda did that, and that's why we have the Spider-Man that we have, but they're not listening, and that's where we're getting these shit films like Morbius. And I am so worried about the Kraven the Hunter film.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, speaking of damage control, Aaron Taylor Johnson dialed way back on what he had said. And tried to like, no, he's definitely a hunter. Definitely a hunter.
But
yeah,
didn't he say that he's a animal protector now?
He said he was a conservationist, but still a hunter. Which, by the way, a lot of hunters that go out and hunt in big game claim to be conservationalists.
Yeah.
And part of that is they're sustaining the entire area, but again, it's still a head scratcher. Kraven the Hunter is my all-time favorite Spider-Man villain.
Mhm.
The Kraven's Last Hunt
That's hunt.
storyline
Yeah.
is
Oh,
still my
phenomenal.
all-time favorite Marvel Spider-Man story.
Phenomenal story.
I had already planned, and I feel bad because I have a Spider-Man tattoo all down my leg, him crawling down my leg. I was gonna get on the other side, Kraven the Hunter, trying to hunt him,
Oh, nice.
and but now I'm like, if I get that, people are gonna think I'm getting it for the movie, and I'm like, nah,
Yeah.
the movie's gonna suck. I'm
Yeah.
really worried about the movie sucking. And of course, we got Madam Web coming, and Lord only knows what the hell's gonna happen with that. But
Which I
Sony,
still don't understand how we got that. I can understand getting villain films, but Madam Web
it's very weird. Here's the thing:
really is.
WB has so many examples of what to do, what not to do, and the in between.
Yeah.
Sony is a perfect example of doing some good and then doing bad. Like there are so many examples for WB to look at. Instead of they need to take a step out of their egos, which now I don't think they can because they don't even have control over their company anymore.
Yeah.
But they need to take a step out of their egos, and instead of it being like, oh, this is a competition with Disney, this is a competition with Marvel, this is a competition to no, let's look at what they're doing because I don't know if you guys recall this, but back when they started production on the Avengers film, Warner Brothers went out and made a declarative statement that they would never make a Justice League movie because a giant ensemble cast of that many stars would never work. And Avengers becomes one of the biggest films of all time. And they're like, oh no, we put our foot in our mouth. Now we have to play catch up.
Yep. Yep.
Thing is, Sony isn't bad with Spider Man. You know why they're not bad with Spider Man Future? Because Kevin Feige and Marvel and Disney help. Spider Man movies are great.
Yeah.
It's the rest of that universe that they keep screwing up because they don't fucking listen. And this is what WB needs to step back and go, look at what they're doing, look at what Marvel is doing. There's so many things. And the thing is, Marvel isn't perfect. The Warner Brothers can look at them and say, well, here's the good and here's the bad. But they've laid the groundwork. Now let's take that blueprint, tweak it, and make our product better.
Yeah.
Matt Reeves did that with the Batman. I love Michael Keaton's Batman. Batman 89, Batman Returns, Batman Returns is still one of the greatest comic book movies of all time. However,
Yep.
The Batman is the absolute best on-screen representation of Batman ever. And it all comes down to that ending. Because unlike every other Batman film, where they got to turn Batman into a villain to the public eye, he's not the hero the city wants, but the hero the city needs.
Mhm.
The Batman at the end of that film, Robert Pattinson's Batman, is a true fucking hero. Getting those people out of their version of Madison Square Garden, where that little girl he's carrying out and put on a stretcher will not let him go because he is the only. Here's this man dressed as a fucking bat in this terrifying look, and she will not let him go because he is the only thing she sees as safe. That scene is the greatest scene in any Batman thing, and I'm going to include the animated series. It is the greatest scene in anything done with Batman, right there. Because you also got a Batman out of Robert Pattinson, which, by the way, phenomenal. Did so much acting with his eyes and with his methodical steps, and just nailed the epitome of the character. He was a shitty Bruce Wayne, but it's year 2, so he's supposed to be a shitty Bruce Wayne. And I'd like to see where he realizes that, oh, I am the hero, but I also have to keep up this facade of Bruce Wayne. And I would love to see the Bruce Wayne coming out. That's what kills me. Sony did so well with Into the Spider-Verse, but then they put in a Morbius cluster. And of course, the MCU Spider-Man films. Yeah. That's the thing. Like, why was the animation so, like, why was that movie so good and nothing else they've done? Like, why? I don't know. I don't know. But even then, I have to put Sony over Warner Brothers. Because
Yeah,
look at what
absolutely.
Warner Brothers is a dumpster fire rolling downhill. It
into
is into a crowded orphanage. Like it's just that bad.
right next to a gasoline factory. I can't think of the actual refinery. That's what I'm looking for. A gasoline refinery.
It's I don't know, man. I don't know what they can do at this point. And the thing is, it doesn't matter what we think. They don't care. They've made that abundantly clear. And like I don't and here's the problem. If we try to stand up as fans, and let's say we boycott Aquaman 2 and decide to boycott anything DC related to show to them we're not going to stand for what you're doing, they're just going to look at that from the money perspective. Oh, these bombed? Well, then let's just shelve them all completely and we're done with it. So it's a lose-lose for the fans.
Yeah.
Lose-lose with the fans. I should make that a shirt. He says LMAO laughed the visual of the rolling dumpster fire. If I wasn't going to get in legal trouble, I would make that a shirt with Warner Brothers on the side of the damn dumpster rolling downhill.
Yeah, because that's exactly what it is right now.
I got to look into parody laws and see if I can do that, because my God.
Yeah.
Speaking of which, if you'd like any Geeks and Noobs podcast merchandise, it is on our Twitch twitchtv.com twitch.tv/the Geeks and Noobs. Go to the About section, scroll down, there's a merch store. My new zip-up hoodie's coming here soon. I'm looking forward to that.
I'll be ordering my stuff tonight after the podcast.
I don't. But yeah, I don't know. I want to cry.
Yeah, I mean, it's like many of my friends from TikTok that I have talked to about many different fandoms, Marvel, DC, Star Wars, Supernatural, Firefly, all those great shows. A lot of people would say, with everything that Marvel's been giving us, it's a great time to be a Marvel fan. Well, on the flip side of that, is a horrible time to be a DC fan.
Yeah, okay. I'm glad you mentioned that, because there's a rumor that the DC Comics could get the axe as well.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And so that, and I don't know, I don't want to put any validity into that just yet, because that's just a rumor. So take it with a massive grain of salt. But it could be that even the comics are on the chopping block. That's a huge, that would just be a massive shit. A shame of biblical proportions to end these massive legacy characters.
Yeah.
To just scrap everything. And we've got so many good storylines going on right now. We've got so many big events coming up. Like in the comics.
I know that right now they're in the middle of another Crisis event for DC right now.
Yeah. Dark Crisis of Infinite Earths.
Yeah. Of course, they've been coming out with Crisis events every 10 or so years since Infinite Crisis in the late or the early 80s.
86, I believe. 86,
yeah, something like that. That event changed comics forever.
Superman is literally a global icon, as is Batman.
Yes.
As is Wonder Woman. How the fact that that's even something that's been discussed by anybody makes no sense to me. Especially since comic book sales are actually up.
Yeah.
They're actually up. Physical comic book sales are up. Marvel saw a 31.7% increase in comic book sales during the pandemic. And in 2021, that continued to go. DC saw similar numbers. So, what? Get it?
Man, I just can't fathom living in a world where we no longer get, Superman comics, Batman comics, or just any DC property ever again. I don't know what I would do. because my first real introduction to actual comic books, because I live in a small town where comics were scarce. You might see the spin rack at a gas station because this was in my area there was no shops specifically for comics. There are now, but
Yeah.
not when I was young. And so my first real taste of getting comic books, my dad literally went to a small auction and brought home with him a small, like, gallon bucket that had Superman and Superboy comics in it. And that was my first taste of real actual comics. And these were like from this Silver Age stuff, 70s. I remember one Superboy comic had a page in it for the Star Wars figures when the movie came out.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't the box set, that the famous box top set you could get. They were like after that, but still, I read through some of those and everything and realized, I didn't care for much as for Superman in the comics, but I did the movie. The movie just resonated more with me. But the fact that I could possibly live in a world where there are no more Superman comics, that this character could be dead, that blows my mind.
And from what I understand, from a legal standpoint, Disney could sell off Marvel Comics if they wanted to, just the comic side.
Mhm.
But I believe the way that the WB-DC deal is structured, if Discovery wanted to sell off the comics to somebody else, they would actually basically have to sell off Warner Brothers again. It's like they're unfortunately not separate. You cannot be separated.
Because WB and DC have been just intertwined for so long.
And I just something with the way that so like. And here's the thing. There are more comic book stores today than there has been since before the mid 90s when we had Marvel almost go bankrupt and Image Comics came out and was a boom and then a sudden drop. That killed the comic book store industry.
Mm-hmm.
But right now, there are more open and successful comic book stores than there has ever been in the last 30 years. And very soon, it will be of all time. There will be more successful comic book stores than there's ever been in all of time. So I understand that it might feel like the print is a difficult industry to maintain, but the thing with comic books is the art plays such a huge point that the print part will never really die.
Yeah.
And I just don't like. And you're seeing like tabletop gaming, which plays into that as well, is making a resurgence. There's a huge resurgence in a lot of this stuff. I just don't like. So I don't understand how that rumor even came about, to be honest, because there's no way Discovery looked at the numbers, saw that's been exponential growth over the last few years, and said, we got to kill this. But I also, at this point, wouldn't put it past them. Don't know. Yeah, the collectibles industry is intertwined with the comic book stores. That is a part of it.
Yeah.
But like I went to a new comic book store on my birthday called Bearded Brown Coat, and massive store, huge D&D section, huge retro video game section.
Nice.
That was really cool. But what took up 3/4 of the store? Comic books. Comic books.
Yep.
It was amazing. Love that place. Great guys. And then of course my comic book store, Pop Culturorama, one right by my house. Those guys are great. We're gonna do a show from there within the next few weeks. So I'll actually set up shop in there and do a show from in there. I'm actually gonna talk to them about that tomorrow, as a matter of fact. So we'll get that set up in the next few weeks. It's just I'm so befuddled by everything going on at Warner Brothers and Discovery. Doesn't make any sense. And I don't just fear for DC, but I think DC is going to get the worst of it.
Mhm.
But I'm worried about the Harry Potter universe, which I love. I'm worried about, other fandoms that are there, like the Game of Thrones and stuff like that. Like they're, the test screenings for their prequel show doesn't seem to be going that well. It would have, like, had this sale gone to Amazon instead of Discovery, we're having a massively different conversation today.
Yeah,
There's
I
no
totally
way
agree with that.
Amazon, like, there's no way Amazon scraps it back, even if the movie is quote unquote irredeemable. Amazon reshoots that shit
Oh yeah.
because they are all about streaming. They are all about, like, and why Discovery, who is moving off of cable to their, like, they're trying to build their own streaming thing. What the hell? I feel like one of the executives that helped make the decision is just an old bastard of a man who remembers fondly to his days of going to the Nickel Theater, watching old Warner Brothers movies that started with a Looney Tunes cartoon in the front, and then
Yeah.
let's go out of the lobby, let's
Let's
go,
go.
and the little dancing
Yeah.
popcorn and shit, and then his talkie played,
I
and it was
actually
a
have
Warner
a
Brothers.
portrait of that in my living room right now because my living room is movie and geek themed. So
So I feel like he remembers the good old days of, being a newsie and saving up enough nickels to go to a movie at the end of the week
Newsy.
to go see his talkie and the Warner Brothers symbol coming up. Fucking
And that right there is an underrated Christian Bale film,
yes, it
in my
is. I love
opinion. Oh my
Newsies.
god, I love that movie as a
Movie's
kid.
so good. Um, yeah, I just don't. That's the only thing I can think of. It's got to be
Yeah,
some decrepit old, obviously white asshole, um, at Discovery in charge, who's just remembering how his fond days of Warner Brothers back, because back when film started, Warner Brothers was one of the big,
yeah.
was Warner Brothers, Universal, MGM.
MGM, yeah.
Now MGM is owned by Amazon, and I think that's obviously why Warner Brothers couldn't be sold to Amazon because they had just bought MGM. But I believe that they bought MGM because Discovery had made it very clear they were buying Warner Brothers, and they were still trying to get out of that AT&T deal.
Yeah.
Uh, but yeah, it's some asshole who's like, oh, Warner Brothers stands for big time movies, Oscar winning films, blockbuster popcorn movies in a theater.
And when's the
Shut the
last
fuck
time
up. We
when's the last time that anybody was excited about a Warner Brothers film here lately though?
I don't know. I don't know.
Exactly.
We live in a new era.
Yeah.
We live in an era, like, look what Netflix is doing. Look at what Amazon is doing. Like, we live in a new era. Amazon's getting into the NFL. Like,
Really? I didn't hear that one.
Apple TV's working on trying to get into the NFL as well.
Wow.
And in fact, I think right now Apple TV and Amazon are fighting over the NFL Sunday Ticket, which DirecTV has dropped because DirecTV, by the way, also part of this whole deal, is completely falling to the wayside. Satellite TV is dead.
Yeah, it is.
So it's just like, and the thing is, like, there's proof that they know that they have to go to streaming. They're building a streaming service, and yet they don't want to make original content. They don't want to make movies for like, what?
Yeah, it just doesn't make sense. I mean,
Marvel proved you don't have to make it all into movie theaters. Look at all these Disney Plus shows that are a huge success. We're barreling towards 1984, and I have to wonder who will win the streaming wars. My money's still on Taco Bell. That would be the franchise wars, sir. And
yes,
depending on what
Demolition Man.
And depending on what country it was released in, some of them were Burger King.
Exactly.
I watch Demolition Man at least twice a week. It is my
Oh
comfort
yeah.
movie to go to sleep to, but I end up watching it all the way through. I love that
Yeah.
movie.
Oh, it's fantastic. Love it.
We talked earlier about Galaxy Quest being a perfect film.
Yes.
Demolition Man to me is a perfectly imperfect film.
That predicted our future so well.
Yeah, it's just I absolutely love it.
Yes.
That one in like Big Trouble Little China, stuff like that. Fantastic.
Yeah.
But like the 1984 comment's a little more prevalent. The Orwellian dystopia coming. And the thing is, it's like I never thought I'd side with Disney so much, but Disney's doing it right.
Yeah.
They're
I mean,
absolutely doing it right. Do you know what else got canceled, by the way?
what?
They pulled it right off of HBO Max. Was the remake of The Witches with Anne Hathaway.
Oh yeah, I did hear that. Yeah.
That was pulled. Why was that pulled? Why was it pulled? It's done.
Yeah.
It's been up there for like since it was released. Like, why did you pull
A
it?
couple months it's been out.
A year now.
Yeah, yeah. Well, why would you pull?
I don't know. I don't know.
I think it was too scary for kids. I mean, look at us. We grew up with
Well,
the original.
apparently they're not they're not skewing for kids.
Oh, that's right. There's because it's right down the middle. Men, women.
Your gym rats and your uh wine guzzling, brunch taking housewives.
Housewives. Yeah.
I don't know what they're doing. Absolutely insane. Somebody's gonna clip that. I'm gonna get fucked on the internet. By the way, that was not me. I was talking for Discovery.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm so confused. I'm so bewildered. I'm so befuddled, and so many other B words. I just like. I just think they just got to take a break. They just got
Yeah.
to. They got to. Somebody needs to like step in and be like, hey, calm it down. But I just don't think that's gonna happen. And this
Yeah.
is far from done. This is far from over. We're just in the thick of it. We just started this race. And it's gonna be a marathon of just bullshit coming out. So we'll have to wait and see. I'm sure we'll have more to report on in the next few weeks. I'm sure we'll hear more than we ever want to hear about it.
Yeah.
Coming up. God damn it, microphone, stay still. I want to get out of this funk. I'm done talking about it because we're beating a dead horse now ourselves.
Yeah.
Because we're never gonna get an answer, and more shit's to come. The fan is gonna be so coated in shit. It's gonna be ridiculous. Gonna look like a shit stained Jackson Pollock everywhere. So let's ramp it back up. Let's bring the fun back.
Yes.
And let's talk about this convention you went to.
Yes. Oh, all right. So the convention I went to was Smoky Mountain Fan Fest in the wonderful town of Gatlinburg, Tennessee. Love going there even before they started having the con there. They've had this con, Smoky Mountain Fan Fest, in a different town that's close to Gatlinburg, but not inside Gatlinburg. Last year was the first time they had it actually at the Gatlinburg Convention Center, and they continue that this year. So it's right in the middle of downtown Gatlinburg. Easily, it was posted up as many places as they could to just try to bring people in off the street. And I found out about it online, and I told my wife, I would really like to go to this. And I was like, okay, let's go. So we bought our tickets. I put together I already had my first cosplay put together, which was the Ben Riley Scarlet Spider with the blue hoodie, the red suit, and everything. I worked really hard on that suit, just found things from Amazon here and there. I had to go on Etsy for a few things, had some things custom made, but I put it all together. A lot of people liked it. This year I went as my original character, Green Lantern. His name is Ryan Lewis. Ryan, for a friend of mine that's been helping me in the cosplay community. We've become brothers almost. We talk at least once a week about something. He's also starting his own cosplay business where he can make props. He's working on being able to make costumes and everything like that. And then Lewis, for my drama teacher in high school, she was just very much, she loved my energy. At one point, for a project, we had to get in a small group and try to sell something. And my group, we decided, let's sell one of the 50 cent quarters that was coming out at the time. And at the end of the project, she looked at me and was like, I don't know if this is a good thing or a bad thing, Kel, but you might have a future in telemarketing. The way I presented my character in that. So, I got dressed up as this character and had so many people coming up to me, just kids, grown adults in other cosplays, taking pictures left and right. It was great. I got to meet a lot of amazing people. I got to meet Walter Jones, who was Zach in the original Mighty Morphin Power Rangers. He was the original Black Ranger. And I also got to meet Catherine Sullivan, who was the second Pink Ranger in the Mighty Morphin series, went on to do Zeo and Turbo. And I can never remember her name, but she played Tanya in Zeo and Turbo as well. They were great. I got some stuff signed by them. There was also like the London brothers, Jeremy and Jason. They've done a bunch of stuff throughout the 90s. Jeremy was in the Kevin Smith movie Mallrats. And they were okay to talk to. Also got to meet some of the guys from the Pirates of the Caribbean movies. Marty, the little guy, the dwarf from the films. And also Isaac, the really tall black man from the films. He was really polite, really just, such a teddy bear to talk to. He was really cool. But the one guy that really made my weekend was Ming Chen from Comic Book Man. I mean, we were walking around, all the celebrities usually stay behind their tables at these cons and they just greet fans. Oh, thank you for being a fan. I appreciate it a lot. Thank you. And, you can ask them questions. They're willing to answer and everything. But Ming, I don't think I saw Ming behind his table one time. He was like always standing in front of his table. He was walking around talking to fans. He even come up to me personally and said, that cosplay is awesome. And of course, inside I am geeking out because he came to me. I didn't go to him. He walked up to me. And so inside I am fangirling hard. And all I could get out was, thank you so much. I mean, it's such an honor to meet you. The whole spiel that you always think about when you meet a celebrity that you really like. But, I probably stood there and talked to him about things for about 15 minutes before we finally walked away. And then I got to see him later on that night because they had a opportunity to go.
Okay, hold on.
Yeah.
I need to preface this as the most absolutely Tennessee thing I've ever heard.
Okay.
No other convention has done this I've ever heard of. This is the most Tennessee thing ever, so please continue to what this was.
Yes. So what they did for the London brothers, they advertised this first on Smoky Mountain fan site or FanFest website where you could go. Gatlinburg has a haunted house, which it's like kind of like what you would think when it's Halloween, people put up haunted houses and you go in, people in masks jump out and scare you and stuff like that. It's like that. And it's in an actual house that's been renovated for this cause, for this little tourist attraction down there. But then later on, what they did was they had an opportunity to go on a moonshine tasting with Walter Jones.
And the most Tennessee thing I have ever heard in my life.
Yes. And it was awesome. I mean, as a Power Ranger fan growing up since day one, back in 1993, August of 1993, I always thought, what it would be like to meet these guys? And now I have an opportunity not just to meet him, but to go and drink alcohol with him. So, of course, I purchased that ticket. It was like 50 extra bucks, but I didn't care. This is going to be a memory that I'll have for the rest of my life. So, we finally meet up down there. Everybody, all the fans that have purchased these things are meeting down there. And then they also had a few other celebrities come down to join them as well to make it a big thing as a package deal. But also Ming came down just because he wanted to. Because I'm pretty sure that that Ming and Walter Jones, they're going to the same conventions. It's like I know they were here last weekend. I think in the next couple of weeks they're going to be in Roanoke, Virginia, because I saw that advertised on Ming's Instagram page. So they're traveling together. They're going to the same cons. But yeah, he just came down, and everybody's a little awkward at first. We're just trying it. It was like, oh yeah, that's quite nice. I like that. But then later on, it was like, hey, let's toast. Let's do a toast, everybody. And Walter, in the middle of it, he was like, hey, does anybody know what time it is? And of course, everybody just screams at the top of their lungs, it's morphin' time. And I got some videos. If you want to check out the video of me drinking with me and Walter, it is on my Instagram and my TikTok page. TikTok is Kel McCosplay, or Kel_McCosplay. And then my Instagram's Kel MC 184. I think I don't even remember my own Instagram.
Yeah, so they're both on the screen. Kel MC 841.
Yeah, 841.
Is the Instagram. Those are on the bottom. Up above our heads are our TikToks. So right above his head is Kel_McCosplay. So you can check them out there. But yeah, when you told me there was a moonshine tasting event as part of this convention, I was like, that is the absolute most Tennessee thing I've ever heard in my fucking life.
True.
I was like, that's insane. Because I remember my first trip ever to New York City. I got to do New York City Comic Con 2019. There was a press party the Wednesday before it started. And funny enough, obviously there's lots of drinks at that, but it's like New York style rooftop bar kind of thing. But we had a fun competition where we teamed up with people. We all got a Black Ranger costume, and we all had to put them on, and like each person in a row would put it on. Then you had to do something, and then whoever team first, they won. Well, one of the things we got to keep the costume.
Nice.
So I actually have a full Black Ranger costume somewhere in my shed. I need to find it, but when I moved from one house to this house, it's all got buried in the hip. But I have that. Won a giant Super Mario Bowser's Castle Mega Block set, which I gave to my niece, and a bunch of other stuff.
Nice.
It's some Transformer figures. I think that was part of it too. Was Transformer. It was a weird thing. It was a weird, fun game. But yeah, so I thought that was kind of funny that like my drinking party for the press was with the Black Ranger gimmick, and then you actually went drinking with the Black Ranger. But the fact that there's a moonshine tasting as part of this fan fest, the most Tennessee fucking thing.
It all comes together.
God, it's the most Tennessee thing.
That was simply amazing. And then, of course, day two. That was all day one. So day two, everything's a little more relaxed, a little more chill. Everybody's coming in.
Yeah, because they're all hungover.
Yeah. But yeah, I went over to talk to Ming some more, and it's just so funny that, this fame that he has gotten from being friends with Kevin Smith and being on the Comic Book Man television show that unfortunately was canceled a while back, because I absolutely love that show.
Yeah, but I know he shows up on Kevin's podcast, but he also has a very successful podcast of his own.
Yeah.
He has amazing numbers on his podcast.
He does.
I think it's great. So
yeah, I think he does a podcast with Mike from Comic Book Man as well. I believe it's called Talking Comics.
Something like that. Well, he also has, I think he actually has two. Because he has one that's named after him. I think he has one that's named after him.
And just coincidentally, I'm just going to put this out here for the fans. Before I left to get ready to come back home with me and my family, my wife, my daughter went with us, or my oldest daughter went with us, and her new fiance, my soon-to-be son-in-law, who is a great kid. I do approve of him. He's just as big as a nerd as I am. So my we getting ready. We're gonna do some shopping that wasn't at the con because I didn't want to spend all the money at the con. I wanted my wife to go find something nice. And before I walked out the doors, I was like, I've got to shoot my shot. So I went back, and Ming's like, "Oh, you're back already?" I was like, "It's like, Ming, I know that you do a lot of podcasts and stuff. Would you maybe consider coming on to a podcast that my friend Vince and I do every week?" And before I could even finish every week, he said, "Dude, you said the magic word, podcast. Shoot me an email. We'll see where it goes."
Well, here's something I didn't realize until I just looked him up. He actually owns a company called a Shared Universe Podcast Studio. And so they have a whole network of podcasts.
Nice.
So that's really cool. So no wonder it's the magic word. Because he does I Sell Comics and the Ming and Mike Show.
Yeah. So,
Future to said, I just remembered I met Ming at a show, I think Awesome Con, that he was just attending while cosplaying as Demon Finn Balor. Nice.
No, cool.
That's awesome. So yeah, hopefully that pans out. We've already emailed him, of course. We'll reach out again. Fingers crossed, and who knows, maybe he likes us enough to put us on his Shared Universe podcast channel. That'd be even better. But regardless, I just love to talk to him. I think obviously he's somebody it's very knowledgeable, very much a fan of comic books and the movies and everything else. So I think it'd be great.
That's the sense you get when you talk to him face to face, that yes, he has this fame from being on these podcasts, being on that show, having connections with Kevin Smith, but deep down, he's a fan just like us. And that's why it's just so easy to talk to this guy. And he's my new favorite celebrity now. I mean, because he's one of us.
Yeah, exactly. And speaking of one of us and a fan of comic books, time for What Are We Reading?
Yes.
So I'm gonna go first.
Okay.
That's for my birthday. I got to go to a new comic book shop.
Yep.
I picked up some great stuff. Now, some of the stuff I picked up sketch covers because I'll be doing a convention myself as an artist October 8th in Crystal River, the Citrus County Comics, Toys, and Anime Festival.
Nice.
So I'll be selling art, and one of the things I like to do is sketch covers. So I picked up a Superman sketch cover and a Daredevil sketch cover. I'm going to recreate iconic covers with that. But I did pick up quite a few books. One of the ones I picked up is the new Ant-Man series.
Oh, I love that.
I picked up the Scotty Young variant cover. I just thought it was hilarious looking. And so I really picked this up for the cover, but the story is actually really cool. And I'm looking forward to getting the rest of the issues. It's about the 4 Ant-Man characters, the Hank Pym, Scott Lang, one after Scott Lang, which for some reason his name escapes me, and a future Ant-Man, who may or may not actually be a bad guy, all coming together. So in this first one, it's about also their timelines kind of merging all into one. So it's drawn in the old classic Ant-Man style from the Tales of Astonish. It's very much about Hank Pym and Janet Van Dyne. It's about some of his early, really crappy foes teaming up and trying to get revenge on him. But also there's a point where you see Scott Lang trying to break into the apartment that he's actually kidnapped in. And so that's, like I said, their timelines, because of this guy in the future trying to do something, their timelines are starting to merge into one. So it's a really cool story. So I really enjoyed that. So like I said, I'm looking forward to the rest of these. Hopefully Scotty Young does some variant covers for all of them. And this was directly off Kel's recommendation last week. I did pick up the Spider-Man 900. And the story in this was actually really good. And it's like it really
Yeah.
is who is Spider-Man, but not in a oh Spider-Man's Peter Parker sense, but who is he as a like what does he stand
Yeah.
for? It involves the living brain, which is actually one of the earliest villains that Spider-Man had to deal with. He has to team up with the Sinister Six actually in this. There's also some great stuff with the Doctor Octopus's arms.
Hmm.
Kind of like actually like almost acting like a puppy. Like they get away and they kind of like find him. Very interesting, a very great read, and of course it's obviously a very iconic book, being number 900. So that was cool. But what I'm most excited about is this series right here. So this is
Oh, the
Iron
Iron Cat
Cat.
series.
I got issue 1 and 2, and then I picked it up because this is what I saw first. Wonderful Predator cover with Black Cat. Now I thought that she would be fighting the Predator, but it turns out there's just a series of variant covers over across a
Yeah.
bunch of different books that month called dot 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 versus Predator variants.
Yeah.
However, the story is actually really good. It dives a lot deeper into the history of Black Cat before ever being a Spider-Man villain slash love interest. It dives into the short arc that she had a few months ago, where she actually broke into Iron Man's lab and made her own Iron Cat outfit. And it brings back an old love interest of sorts of hers, her past.
Ooh, interesting.
So both of these are very, very, very well written. It's McKay, Perez, and Diarmata, sorry. They're
Oh, Jed
incredibly well.
McKay's doing that series.
Yeah, it's incredibly well written.
Oh, nice. Because absolutely love what he's doing with Moon Knight right now.
Yeah, and it's the fact that he's doing this with Black Cat or Iron Cat. It's an incredible series, and Iron Man is not overshadowing anything in it by any stretch of the imagination. So I found that fascinating.
Nice.
So what are you reading?
All right. This week I picked up for my first pick, Batman Beyond Neo Year issue number 5. I've been reading this series. It's been a little interesting. The last couple of issues have been a little yeah, so we'll see if issue 5 will help pick that up any. But if you enjoy the Batman Beyond animated series or any Batman Beyond comic books come out before this, it's been interesting. Bruce Wayne has um it sounds like Bruce Wayne could be dead in this because Terry McGinnis talks to himself a lot, talking to Bruce. So it's Terry on his own being Batman. And some new villains have come up and everything. So it's been an interesting read. It's kind of lagged just a little bit in the last few issues, but we'll see where issue 5 takes us. My next pick that I got, just because, of course, I'm a huge Spider-Man fan, as we all know, is Edge of Spider-Verse number 1. This just came out this week.
Is that the one with the dinosaur Spider-Man?
Yes. This issue has Spider-Man Noir, Spider Lariat, and Spider X. So
That's probably what I'm going to end up picking up tomorrow.
yeah. So I thought the original Spider-Verse series was really great. So I'm interested to see what goes on with this new series. So I had to pick that one up. Staying on the Spider-Man kick, we have for my pick number 3, a series that I've read the first 2 issues, but I haven't read the rest just because I've been reading a lot of other things. Spider-Man 2099 Exodus, and each issue it brings in a 2099 counterpart to a current Marvel hero. And this particular issue, we have the Spider-Man of 2099. This series, the 2 issues that I've read has been okay so far. It's not been the greatest that I've read, but it's not been that terrible either. So will be interesting how Spider-Man 2099 interacts with these version of the X-Men. All right, and for the last few issues that I got, I have also picked up, since we also know that I'm a huge Moon Knight fan, Jed McKay's Moon Knight number 14.
Nice cover.
It is really nice cover. Just see Mr. Knight talking with the different personas. We have uh, Jake Lockley down here, Stephen Grant, have Mark Spector over here, and then Moon Knight around him. So they're all becoming separate personalities themselves. This new run of Moon Knight, since McKay has took over, is really fantastic. I mean, it is, I wouldn't say it's good as Lamar's run, but the story is very intriguing on where it's going. It's like in the first arc for the first 11 to 12 issues, Moon Knight, he was either Moon Knight or he was Mr. Knight. There was only one time that Mark Spector came out, and that's when he was talking to Tigra, one of his old love interests from his early days back when he was a West Coast Avenger. And in that last issue of that particular arc is when Stephen Grant finally came out, before he ended up killing the villain of that series. So everything's starting over for a new arc, and it's been interesting so far. I really love the series. I recommend anybody picking up this current run of Moon Knight. Now, staying on the Moon Knight kick, I've actually got a lot of older Moon Knight comics that I picked up at the con. And I was able to find the first runs of Moon Knight number 2 and number 3. Number 3 is the first appearance of the Midnight Man, who for that first arc, for that first series of Moon Knight, was Moon Knight's arch rival. So I was really excited about getting this book. I got it at a decent price, and it is a decent copy. There's not a lot of phrase on it or anything like that. It looks gorgeous. The colors are vibrant. And one thing I really did love is, like, I pulled this out and read it for a little while today, and I was like, man, comics just don't smell like this anymore.
Yeah.
Just that great old smell. And then I also picked up Moon Knight issues 14 and 24. This right here is the first appearance of Stained Glass Charlotte, another well-known Moon Knight character, and I also picked up her second appearance as well. So really excited to read these. Moon Knight or Stained Glass Charlotte has a very interesting cameo in one of the newer run. So I'm interested into going back and seeing her origin, how to compare the original Charlotte to this new version that we got in the new run. But yeah, that's all I got this week that I'm going to be reading on. And I just really happy to be a comic book fan right now.
Yeah.
Because it's got some great stuff.
There you go, ladies and gentlemen. As we wrap it up, you got some nice recommendations on what to go pick up at your local comic book store. Please go visit your local comic book store.
Yes.
As always, please like and subscribe, follow all the jazz. You know what to do on social media. Follow us on TikTok, Instagram, all that fun jazz as well. And stick around. We're going to actually raid the Panda Wrestling Company, as they are live right now. So if you're a fan of wrestling, it's also going to be a lot of fun. But it's just a lot of fun with these guys. So we're going to raid them. And next week, hopefully, we'll have a much cheerier topic to talk about.
Yeah.
We'll see how that goes. So once again, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for being here. And we will see you next week.